So, Michelle, are you going to give us our marching orders this morning for the virtual meeting?
Yes, I will. Some of you may be familiar with these instructions, but for any of you that are on here that may not have heard them, I'll go through them once again. Our meeting is being held virtually on a continuation of Governor Lee's executive order for holding public meetings. The meeting is being recorded and will be made available to the public. All votes will be assumed aye, and Chairman Profit will only call for nay votes. There will be a short pause after the call for nay. To limit background noise, please keep your devices muted unless you need to speak. Your mute button is in the upper right-hand corner of your individual tile. Autumn Derrick will be the moderator for the meeting today. Submitting chats are welcomed if you are unable to speak. Board staff will keep a watch for any chats that are submitted. If you are representing a board member that has submitted a written proxy, when we do roll call, you will need to state your name and say proxy for, and only board members and approved proxies are allowed to vote. If we have any individuals participating other than board members, if you will include your name in the chat box, that way we will know who is in attendance today. And actually, if board members want to put their name in the chat box, that way we'll have a record of who attended the meeting. That would be helpful as well, if you can. Mr. Chairman, that proceeds or completes my directions.
Michelle, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, please use those instructions to ask. If you have any now, that'll be fine. But in the meantime, it is time for us to call the roll. And Michelle, I'll take it back to you for roll call and quorum.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Rebecca Ashford. Karen Buff. Brian Cooksey.
Here.
Frederick Ebner. Ann Irvin.
Here.
Tim Fowler. Harley Grant. Marshall Graves.
Present.
Irene Hillman. Melvin Holmes. Julie Hoover.
Present.
David Hopkins. Virginia Housley.
Here.
Virginia House. Yes, thank you. Mary Stewart Lewis. Warren Logan. Ethan Lloyd.
Here.
Drew Lytle. Phil McGrath. Larry Morrison. Kathy Price.
Here.
John Profit.
Here.
Crystal Renner. Manny Rico. Ralph Romero. Shannon Russo.
Present.
Carrie Smith.
Present.
Stuart Smith. Jim Staley.
Here.
Bill Harmon, representing SETHRA. Logan Taylor.
I'm here.
Leslie Travis.
I'm here.
Rich Wade. Patty Weaver.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you, Michelle. Our next item of business is approval of minutes, and you should have gotten those electronically, the September 9th, 2020 meeting. Do we have any corrections, additions, deletions to be made to those minutes of the meeting? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Price.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Carrie Smith.
Have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? Anyone that does not approve of the minutes, would you please signify by saying nay? Having none, then the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Now let's go to our administrative reports, and on your agenda, you'll see the financial report from Elliot Williams. Elliot, would you like to lead us through the second budget amendment?
I can do that. Thank you, John. All right, for the second budget amendment of the FY21 fiscal year, a proposal is being made to increase the revenues in the amount of $618,800. This increase comprises of a CARES Act reemployment grant, and that is $248,800, and a CARES Act Coronavirus CBG Relief Fund grant of $370,000. Both of these grants will further provide reemployment services and training to participants and local businesses impacted by COVID-19. This concludes the amendment proposal number 2. I can take any questions if anyone has any.
Does anyone have any questions for Elliot concerning this budget amendment?
Elliot, just a quick question. Does it extend into next year on the fiscal, or is that funds that had to be spent by the end of this month?
No, this will be extended to the end of December 31st. Yeah, so it'll be this month, for the month of December.
This month or that we're in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve this budget amendment?
Motion to approve, Carrie Smith.
Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second, Marshall Graves.
Motion from Carrie, second from Marshall. Any
Michelle,
other
he
discussion?
may be in the tree room now,
Okay.
because I moved some bags from the front, unless, did you leave it right here?
If there is no other discussion, then is anyone wishing to vote against this motion? Would you signify by saying nay? Okay, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. Now let's move on to our October 2020 financial report. And Elliot again.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so this is for the financial statements as of October 31st, 2020. You'll see there on the top left the total budget revenues in the amount of $7,189,000 has been adjusted to reflect the budget amendment number 2 that we just approved. You'll see that year-to-date expenses for the year as of October 31st is $1.4 million, which is 21% of the annual budget. This is below the expected expense rate of 33%, but with a slow start to the fiscal year, we have begun to see an uptick in participant service expenses as fall tuition payments are starting to roll in, and also the COVID-19 relief aid will continue to increase in the coming months. So total personnel expenses, you'll see right below total revenue, is at $147,000 for the year, which is also under budget at 24%. We were understaffed earlier in the year, but I've since recently hired a new staff member to our team. Below that are operating expenses at $405,000, and that is 26% of the budget with no glaring line items above the budget. Our special service expenses below the operating expenses towards the bottom is includes our Mid-Cumberland contract and participant services, and that is $1.72,000, and that is 19% of the annual budget. This again has increased activity since the beginning of the fiscal year and will continue to provide more relief, especially to those impacted through the COVID-19 pandemic. At the very bottom of this page is our MPC metric, and that is at 47% of the year. Again, the MPCR is the ratio of participant expenses to total program expenditures. The So this will continue to improve in the coming months as we continue our high efforts of servicing the Southeast region. If we go on to the next page, this is our detailed breakout of our current active contracts. This upper section at the top includes our FY20 contracts that have been carried over into this FY21 fiscal year. These contracts have an end date of June 30th, 2021, and will be fully expended before tapping into our newly issued FY21 contracts. Over on the right, you'll see that our current work experience rate for the PY20 youth contract is at 35%. And then again, the minimum requirement is 20% for the year. Below those FY20 contracts is our FY21 contracts. And these contracts have a term limit of 2 years and have been adjusted at 80%, or have been budgeted at 80% of the total program costs. The remaining 20% is budgeted and set aside as carryover into the next FY21 fiscal year, which begins July 1st, 2021. Even though the 80% expenditure requirement at the end of year one has been waived by the state, we will aim to stick to these goal metrics of hitting our 80% expenditure requirement to better serve the area and also prepare ourselves financially for the future years when all is back to normal and spending requirements are reactivated. This concludes my financial reporting, and I can take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Elliot. Any questions for Elliot concerning financial report? Do we have a motion to approve the October 2020 financial report?
So moved. Jim Staley.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, anyone who wishes to vote against this motion, please signify by saying nay. Hearing none, then the motion is approved. That concludes our financial reports, and now if you'll check your agenda, we're moving on to the personnel report. And Don Kellerman, would you please lead us through that report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We would like to announce that a lot of you may have met her already virtually with some of our meetings that's taken place, but we have hired Lisa Buchanan as the role of performance and compliance specialist with staff to the board. She comes to us with about 13 years of workforce experience in different capacities in several different states. So we look forward to her being on our team, and that concludes the personnel report.
Thank you for that personnel report. Hope you all have a chance to meet Lisa, and welcome to the team. Good things are going to happen, I'm sure. Let's move now to our committee reports, and we will do a condensed version of these reports as we have been doing on our Zoom meetings. And may I read this to you? The Operations, Youth, and Opportunities Committee minutes were emailed out prior to the meeting. The Operations Committee, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of that committee?
Motion to approve, Carrie Smith.
Motion to approve by Carrie. Do we have a second?
Marshall Graves, second.
Motion by Carrie, second by Marshall. Any discussion? Anyone wishing to vote against this amendment, please say nay. Okay. Motion is approved. Now I'll ask for a motion to approve the Youth Committee minutes and all the business contained within. Do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve. This is Logan Taylor.
Motion from Logan. Do we have a second?
Second, Patty Weaver.
Motion by Logan, second by Patty. Any discussion? Anyone not in favor of this motion, would you please signify by saying nay? Motion is approved. Our next item of business is the Opportunities Committee and the minutes and all the business contained therein. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved, Kathy.
Motion to approve by Kathy. Do we have a second?
Virginia Hasley, second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Virginia. Any discussion? Anyone not in favor of this motion, would you please signify by saying nay? The motion is approved. Now let's move on to the Executive Committee report. The Executive Committee met on Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, to approve the final recertification application for the American Job Centers in Southeast. On October 21st, 2020, the certification review team, consisting of all core partner staff, met to perform the final review after several Americans with Disability Act recommendations were made on the initial review. All deficiencies were corrected, and the Executive Committee moved to approve the certification of all of our AJCs and the mobile AJC in Southeast Tennessee. The certification will be effective until 2023. The Executive Committee brings forth a recommendation in the form of a motion to approve the recertification of the 5 American Job Centers facilities and 1 mobile American Job Center in the Southeast. Does this motion have a second?
Leslie Travis, I second.
Second by Leslie. Any discussion? Anyone not in favor of the amendment, please say nay. The motion to approve the recertification is approved. The committee also had preliminary discussions concerning the procurement process for the one-stop operator, career services provider, and youth provider. A new procurement policy now requires each to be procured separately, with the ability to retain the existing structure until June 30th, 2022, if the board determines this is in the best interest of the local area. Michelle updated the committee on several policy changes and directives that could impact the procurement structure and additional duties that may be required by the one-stop operator function. After analysis and discussion, the Executive Committee has recommended that the board staff request technical assistance from the state on several concerns prior to proceeding with a decision on any procurement. This will ensure full and complete understanding of roles and responsibilities prior to releasing a request for proposals. The Executive Committee will convene again early next year to determine the best approach concerning the timing of the next procurement cycle and make recommendations to the board. Now, this completes the business conducted by the Executive Committee. And before we move to our Director's report, if I could take a moment of personal privilege, we have 2 special recognition awards we'd like to present. You know, things change with our board, and it is not static, it's a dynamic board. These 2 people that we would like to recognize, they are not leaving the board because their term is ended, but it's because things have changed with their situations. So if we could take a moment to recognize our 2 departing board members. The first one is Manny Rico. Manny has made the decision to resign from the board effective this month to focus more on his family and business. Now, I've known Manny for several years. He is a longtime board member, and he is a lifetime public servant. He has spent 15 years on the workforce board, has been an instrumental leader in much of the work that the board has accomplished. He has served on the operations committee since its inception, has put in numerous hours approving eligible training provider applications and approving the many policies and administrative tasks required. He has also served on the executive committee during his tenure on the board and has offered exemplary judgment throughout. We will miss Manny's eagerness to approve motions and get business done. I could always count on him for a motion, even in this virtual climate. We wish him all the best in the future. Manny, thank you for your service from this board. Is Manny on the line with us?
I don't think so. I don't think he was able to join today.
Well, Manny, we will get this award to you. Best of luck in the future, and of course, if you need anything from any of us, don't hesitate to get in touch. Our next winner is, I'm not sure about Kathy Price. She's retiring, but Kathy is young to retire, but we're going to miss Kathy because she is retiring as Executive Director of the McMinn County Economic Development Authority, and that's effective at the end of the month. Kathy has served on the Workforce Board since 2014, and like Manny, has served on both the Operations Committee and Executive Committee. From her numerous years of economic development experience, Kathy has been able to bring a unique perspective to both the Operations and Executive Committees. Kathy is always quick to point out how important future projections are in the work that we do. Kathy has agreed to, quote, help out, unquote, with the Operations Committee if needed. But just know we are now searching for someone to fill her shoes. And those will be tough shoes to fill because Kathy not only serves as a board member and a committee member, but she chairs this Operations Committee and has done an excellent job with that. Kathy, we thank you for your service to the board. And I think you're on the line, aren't you, Kathy?
I am, and boy, this was unexpected. Thank you. I'm getting choked up here a little bit because I am going to miss each and every one of you. I will still be around a little bit after the first of the year, and hopefully we'll see you all in different roles down the line. I am going to slow down a bit, but I am looking to do some consulting work as well. So I appreciate, this has been a great board, great committees to serve on. Great people that we've surrounded ourselves with, staff and other volunteers to the board and committees. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to serve over the last few years.
Kathy, thank you on behalf of the board. We wish you well as a young retiree, and I know that Kathy and I, we served together in various functions, so I'm glad you'll still be around for me to aggravate. I appreciate that. That concludes my report, and now our next agenda item is the director's report. I'll turn the meeting over to Michelle Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we're going to pull up our board report, and I'm going to go through just a few updates for you on that report. I'll wait till we get that pulled up. There we go. You'll see our board report here now. The first portion that you will notice will be an update on our planning. Before we move into the planning, I want to touch briefly, just for a better flow of reporting, at the bottom of the page where we're going to talk about the ARC grant opportunity briefly. The board, Chattanooga State Community College, and Southeast Tennessee Development District has supported Marion County in pursuit of an Appalachian Regional Commission grant to build out the final 12,488 square feet of the Advanced Manufacturing and Information Technology building on the campus of the Marion County Institute of Higher Education. We are pleased to support this project, which will bring or help finalize and build out the space for a state-of-the-art healthcare facility to implement a nursing program in the Kimball, Sequatchie Valley area. So we look forward to that, and stay tuned. Hopefully we will get funding for that, and we'll provide much needed medical training there in the area. As many of you know, we usually try to have a presentation from an individual or a group during this meeting, but since the COVID-19 pandemic, we've been challenged logistically with being able to coordinate from so many locations. We thought we would take this time to offer an update on some of our shorter-term planning strategies from our regional and local plans. If you'll look there, I know it looks like a lot of words, but there's a lot of information and a lot of work that we've been able to do in the short time that we've had since we approved our plans back in June. We have convened our East Regional Planning Council and have developed out some committees to work on the strategies for our East region. As you all know, the East region is comprised of the executive and regional directors and partners for Northeast, East, and Southeast. The three subcommittees that we developed were the economic and workforce analysis, the skills and strategies for service integration, visions, goals, and implementation committees. The first committee, the economic and workforce analysis committee, includes a core team of executive level staff from each local workforce development area and partners from education and economic and community development. This committee will regularly review the economic and labor market information to identify trends and skills gaps in the local areas and the entire East region. One goal of this group will be to convene business and industry partners in sector-based planning to identify skills needs, to inform training initiatives, and ultimately prioritize investment of local funds based on the needs. This will be instrumental in expanding work-based learning programs, particularly apprenticeship programs. The Strategies for Service Integration Committee will be comprised of operational staff that are focused on pipeline infrastructure. The welcome function and skills training teams in the American Job Centers play a key role in carrying out the strategy set forth by the board. Integration of services plays a key role in service delivery, and partner collaborations is critical in increasing skills and credentials for workforce development. This group will also be responsible for the development of continuous improvement strategies for the East region. The Vision, Goals, and Implementation Committee will measure the efficacy of the plan implementation in the East region. Responsibilities will include developing key performance dashboards, monitoring service delivery, developing corrective action plans, and measuring customer experience. This group will also develop objectives outside of our standard negotiated performance measures and the state-developed key performance metrics. The one-stop operations and performance staff of the board level will make up the core team for this committee. We felt like with the East region, and it's a very large region comprised of about 34 counties, and we felt like it was critical for us to divide this work up so that we can each take a piece, with each local area committing to do some of the work, so that we are able to provide better report outs and keep on track with our strategies throughout the planning process. We hope that every quarter we will be able to provide you some updates, and we'll continue to do this work. It has been a little bit more difficult with the regional planning committee during COVID-19, just because of with the convening and such a large group. It does create some barriers that we've had to struggle with, but we've managed to get some work done and move forward with some of our committee structure, and I'm very proud of that. I don't know that we've ever been this organized early on, and that's a lot of thanks to several staff that have worked on that, not just the executive directors and regional directors. We have had many staff that have committed time to this, and we're appreciative, as well as partner agencies. All have to come to the table and be participatory in this, and we're pleased that we've been able to foster some of those relationships. On the back page, you'll note some of the nearer term priorities from our local plan. These were some things that were identified by Thomas P. Miller that was presented to us in June. We've been able to do a little bit of work and make some progress towards those as well. Our plans are 4-year plans with an update due in 2 years. And as you'll recall, we had the shorter term and longer term. We have focused more on the shorter term goals, not necessarily saying that we haven't worked on some of the longer term, but we have been able to make more progress, obviously, on the shorter. One of those would be with assisting employers based on the existing and post-COVID-19 needs. And I guess instead of saying post, we should say current. It's still here with us, and we all had fully anticipated maybe it being gone by now. But to date, we have assisted with furloughs and closures, as well as expanding and hiring new workers to meet the changing needs of the industries that we serve. Quarantine and sickness has led to a shortfall of workers and placed a burden on business and industry in an already tight labor market as well. I'm sure all of us and many of you are facing the same challenges in this pandemic, and hopefully we can get past it sooner rather than later. As I reported last quarter, many of those impacted by the pandemic have limited skills and limited mobility, and we have continued to see this group be most at risk. The award of the CARES Act funding to help support reemployment and business grants has helped provide some short-term training for unemployed workers and support for employers hiring workers or training existing workers. Staff in the AJCs have reached out to approximately 3,000 unemployed individuals to offer these courses, as well as a full array of services. We've contracted with local training providers with a variety of soft skills courses, including information technology and some welding and heating and ventilation, air conditioning boot camps. We have approximately 150 enrolled, and the majority scheduled to complete by the end of the year. We also have about 10 contracts with local employers for on-the-job training and incumbent worker training. We have about 75 individuals with more anticipated to enroll throughout the end of the year into a full obligation of contracts. We're committed to working those to get those funds out to individuals most in need, and we'll continue the work with that. The expansion of our access points was another one of our nearer term goals. We have identified early on 3 partner agencies who are serving target populations and are in the process of establishing formal access points with those. One being City Fields, which was formerly the Refuge in Cleveland. It's located in a high poverty area and provides access to training for low income, recovering, and justice involved individuals. They have a high success rate due to the supports and wraparound services, and any services that we can bring to the table will only enhance that. Grace Center, Grace stands for the Grundy Recovery Alliance Community Endeavor, and I think we have Marshall on the line who is heavily involved with that organization and works closely with them. Was established to provide much needed resources in a distressed Grundy County where basic services are limited. They've renovated a building in Colmont to provide services for those that are recovering. With the rural location, it's ideal for those seeking resources and not having to travel 45 minutes one way to access another location. Chattanooga Endeavors also here operates in the East Lake community of Chattanooga and has an MOU with the Tennessee Department of Corrections to serve individuals released back to the community. With employment being their primary objective, this partnership will provide connection with employers and returning talent who can support this partnership. And finally, the expansion of work-based learning programs. As many of you know, this is one of our passions in workforce development, as we have been heavily involved in work-based learning for many, many years and through many changes in the law from way back in the days with the SETD program and then on into JTPA and WA and now WIOA, the many different legislations that have came into existence. Work-based learning was a critical component. With the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act that started in 2015, work-based learning became more important and more critical in the work that we do, with the expansion of apprenticeship programs being one of the highlights of that legislation. It's a proven model that works when it's in a solid structure and in place with organizations that can help partner and deliver those services. We have several local employers that have work-based learning models in place and are in the process of expanding these types of programs. One new one is the pre-apprenticeship program at Valmont in Jasper. It's a partnership with Marion County Schools and Chattanooga State. I had the opportunity to showcase this to our state workforce board last month, and we look forward to working with other local business and industry to help facilitate the development of more of these types of programs, and not necessarily just the pre-apprenticeship programs, but any apprenticeship program or proven work-based learning model that we can do. So if there are any business and industry that you know of, please refer them to us for additional information so that we can help continue that expansion. Our business service teams at the American Job Centers will play a critical role in the promotion and placement for these populations that we need to serve with the work-based learning programs. The last thing that I'll talk about briefly is our PY 2020 and PY 2021 negotiated performance metrics. This is just so that you are notified that those metrics are available, that we have fully negotiated those for PY 2020 and PY 2021. You'll see those there on the screen. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were allowed to adopt the state's federally negotiated rate. We did not see any areas of concern with adopting these metrics and moved forward with that last month. Throughout the year, you will see quarterly updates from the one-stop operator on the progress of these metrics, among others. And just the last thing that I'll touch on real briefly is just the AJC phased reopening. We are still currently holding in phase 3, and we'll continue to follow the guidance from the CDC and local governments on any actions that need to be taken concerning the closures. Mr. Chairman, that completes my report, and I don't know if we have any local elected officials on the line. We may want to see if any have been able to join and heard the last portion of the planning, and if they wanted to provide any insight, you might ask.
Thank you, Michelle. And do we have any of our local elected officials on the line?
This is Mayor Jackson, Marion County. I'm on here. We're excited about the opportunity to try to receive these ARC funds to help build out our building down at Chat State, start teaching nursing here in Marion County and the Squatchy Valley. So we're excited about that. Appreciate Michelle and her staff's help with this. So we're excited and hope they invite us to be funded.
This is Mayor John Gentry, McMinn County. I just want to see if the Workforce Board could talk Kathy Price out of retirement.
We tried.
Tried hard, and Kathy's such a good person that we hate to lose her, but I'm sure that you've got some qualified folks that maybe can't fill her shoes, but they can at least walk the walk.
Yeah, well, appreciate the work the board's doing. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mayor Gentry. Appreciate those kind words.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson, for all that you do, a longtime supporter of the workforce development and a good friend of the entire area.
Thank you, John.
Is there anyone? You're welcome. Is there anyone else on the line that would like to be identified? Well, thank you again. Thank you again for all your help. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle about anything that she may have reported on? Okay, let's move to our next item of business, the one-stop operator report. And Jennifer Epley, are you going to give us an update?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want you to recognize that unemployment in all 10 of the counties in the Southeast has reduced over the last 3 months. If you'll remember, in June, the average unemployment rate was, I think it was 9.87%, and in September it's 5.7%. Of course, this month is the month in which many of those federal unemployment supports are going to end, and so we're expecting an increase in individuals who will be job seeking. We did have 3,933 visitors in the American Job Centers in PY20 Q1, which is July 1 through September 30th. That is significantly down year over year from last year. However, that does mirror the state in the amount of visitors that are coming in simply because of COVID-19 and the impact that we've seen there. Reasons that people visit the American Job Centers continues to be the same. We've got about 90% of those individuals who are coming in to do job search in the computer room, coming in to apply for unemployment insurance, and for career coaching with our career service provider, also known as Title I. And so those individuals are coming in specifically to seek employment and seek additional training or to seek unemployment insurance. And so that continues to be the 3 most heavily populated reasons for visiting. Next page. Thank you. So, as you know, we've divided up into the functional teams, and this is a statewide effort to make sure that we are aligning across the state amongst all of the required partners. And so our business services unit is made up of various partners across our required partner groups. And so that team has been meeting to ensure that we are trying to get the word out about job fairs, job opportunities, exploring any way to encourage people to, go back to work and also to assist employers. We do have specific individuals our local veteran employment representatives who are focused on the employer side. And so we have had some job fairs, however, that has been significantly down. We've had about 152 individuals attend job fairs on site. We did start having on-site job fairs again this quarter, but those have to be limited because of the requirement for social distancing. And so we're holding those to individual events. We can't have a multi-employer event on the inside. However, the BST group did meet during this quarter and began planning various opportunities. And I know this has already been held and it'll be at the next report, but they were planning a job fair event in Marion County with Lodge. And they were also in the works of planning the New Life Job Fair, which we have scheduled tentatively right now for February 2021. Of course, that has been a very huge event for the Chattanooga area that we partner with the City of Chattanooga and the DA's office and Department of Corrections, Goodwill, YB Normal. That has just been a great opportunity for us, to make sure that we're reaching the justice-involved individuals in the area and trying to give them assistance in moving forward. And so that is still in the works, and hopefully we will be able to have that in February 2021. The BST members have also been part of demonstration webinars with Tyra Kopis, who is our state apprenticeship director and specifically covers the East area, with Premier Virtual as a tool for the BST members to host virtual job fairs. I know several folks across the state are very excited about this opportunity, and this particular platform actually can have several employers at the same time. It's got like a lobby area of various, it's almost like it's a virtual setup, literally, of what you would face at a large convention. And so it's a very great opportunity. We look very forward to being able to utilize that, assist our employers, and assist our job seekers. For incumbent worker training, we've had 4 contracts that have served 103 workers, obligating a total of $39,874. For jobs for TN, we've had 420 different employers who have registered on jobs for TN, and they have had a total of 2,556 job orders were posted in the 10-county area. So one thing we continue to hear from our business services team and from our employers is they need workers. And so we are trying very hard to make sure that we are moving forward to make that happen. I will say that yesterday morning I was on a functional team lead meeting with Southeast, and Mr. Logan Taylor, who was on the call too, was on that meeting, and he actually went through a demonstration of some of the soft skills, the active listening skills that they are conducting currently, both in Chattanooga and in Athens. And it was an excellent demonstration of active listening, which will assist individuals that they have enrolled in their classes for soft skills to be able to improve their employability. And so we're very excited about that. And it was just a really great demonstration of that active listening. The on-the-job training, we have assisted 14 employers with OJT enrollments, and we've had 79 OJT participants, providing a total of $165,856 in training. Our rapid response opportunities for those employers that are closing, we've had 7 employers that have affected 368 employees. And so we've been able to deliver that rapid response opportunity since July 1. There have been a total of 6,424 unemployment claims in the Southeast area during this time from 7/1 to 9/30. And again, the business services team is really trying to make sure that they're getting the word out virtually as much as possible. They have posted a total of 70 job flyers on Facebook, hoping to fill vacancies and make sure that our partners, our community agencies, and job seekers are actually able to explore that. Next page. Thank you. So our career and skills development team, these are the folks that are actually working on assisting our customers with increasing their skills, increasing their opportunities for employment, increasing their opportunities for additional training to seek better employment. So our career service provider, which is Mid-Cumberland at this point, had 115 Title I or career service provider participants who obtained new employment in PY20 Q1. So of those, 130 were adults, 44 were dislocated workers, and 36 were youth. Our adult education providers had a total of 624 students who were enrolled in PY20, and a total of 117 students earned a high school equivalency diploma, which is a high set at this point, with 27.5% of the students who showed a measurable skill gain on that TABE 11-12 post-testing. And of course, as Leslie noted, the state annual goal for the MSG is 37.9%. I know that Title II or adult education has been making great strides to ensure that their students are served, and they are working with hybrid classes as far as in-person and online in all 10 counties. They've hired 3 additional instructors for the distressed counties. They have added in-person classes and hours, including Saturday classes. They are slightly short-staffed right now, but they are really trying to put the word out and make sure that students are served during this time, and so I want to applaud them for that. I think they've done a great job with that. Our Wagner-Pizer, which is the state of Tennessee career specialists, have enrolled 321 individuals in the Wagner-Pizer element, and so they still are helping with the unemployment claims right now, which continue to be, as noted, over 6,000 during this quarter. And so they're still providing that additional assistance to those individuals, meaningful assistance, calls, making sure that individuals are able to get their unemployment. Our vocational rehabilitation partners have been working too with their folks, and they are trying to meet their customers where they are, whether they need virtual services, if they want to meet in person. Then I know Voc Rehab and Karen Buff is on the line. I know that they are working with whatever agency the client wants to meet them, whether that's Department of Human Services or the American Job Center, going by the rules of each one of those agencies for PPE and social distancing and all that. And so they're just trying to meet their folks where they are. They had a total of 39 individuals who entered successful employment and maintained employment for a total of 90 days and were able to successfully close. And they also had a total of 93 new applications. And so Karen has explained to us before that they are able now to work with folks over the phone too. And so they're just trying to make sure that they are meeting their customers where they are so that they can make sure that that's done. For our TANF partners, which is called Families First in the state of Tennessee, they had a total of approximately 229 individuals who were receiving TANF in Q1, and their employed rate amongst their clients for July it was 42%, for August it was 42%, and then for September it was 37%. They continue to see an impact from COVID. They are continuing to modify clients. Of course, they have a 30-hour requirement. They're continuing to modify those clients as needed and help them with doing online or virtual job skills training so that they can keep their benefits up. So that is an opportunity that they are seeing still at this time. Next page. Thank you. So the welcome team is still working on the common intake process. They are still working to ensure that individuals are completing the common intake form online and then getting referred to services. I know that they have been working at this point to try to deliver that information to the access points that have had a couple of trainings, and then we'll extend those trainings more as we go forward and deepen those trainings. But they have been doing a great job making sure that those individuals who are coming in are served and connected to the right partners to make sure that they receive the services they need. So for the KPIs, and this is a new thing for the state, of course, in 2020, the key performance indicators are based on calendar year instead of fiscal year. And so these rates show from January 1, 20 to 9/30/20. And so the goals are negotiated, or the targets are negotiated with staff of the board and the state, and they just provide a measure of what we need to be meeting. And so if you look there, you can see that there has been an impact by COVID-19 during this time, and so enrollments are slightly less than what would be expected at this point. But staff are still working very diligently to make sure, and that's across all partners, to make sure that they are trying to engage people virtually via phone, FaceTime, whatever way or means they possibly can, and of course by appointment as needed at the American Job Center when they can. So we will continue to work with the partners, encourage them to expand their opportunities to reach out to these customers so that we can hopefully increase the KPIs going forward. And that concludes the OSO report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone have any questions or comments about the report?
I had a chance to see the common intake form. I wasn't necessarily aware of that. And as we enrolled Grace to be a access point, I became aware of that. I think that's a really nice feature that we're offering. I think people don't really realize how accessible that is now. So I hope we can kind of promote that to folks. And congratulations for getting it out there.
That's a really good point. It's only as good as how much it's being used. So hopefully you can help spread the word down there. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll add one thing to that, Marshall. That with the common intake being accessible here in Southeast, we are piloting that project here in Southeast currently, but there are efforts underway at the state level to incorporate that into the virtual one-stop system. So this will become accessible across the state and will eventually tie the whole system together with the virtual AJC, which is Virtual American Job Center, and individuals being able to access services from where they are, and then kind of do like a preliminary assessment. Some of that's still being built out. It's not there yet, but it's my understanding that they're trying to bring even more partners on board with that. So we're excited about that. I think it will help connect a lot of people, and probably can eliminate some of the need for some people to drive in, to a center. They might be able to get the help they need virtually, but then it would also probably expedite some of the travel that individuals are having to make. If they come in for an appointment or just pop into an AJC, they may not necessarily have everything they need with them, but this will allow them to get, a list of things to bring with them if they do need to come in for an appointment. So we're excited. I think this COVID-19 pandemic, and I think I shared it the last time, or maybe even potentially at the state workforce board meeting, I think it has forced all of us to learn how to do business in a different way. And I think we're trying to make progress towards some of that. Probably pushed us a little bit faster than we wanted to go at times, but I think we've made some progress with that, and I'm looking forward to us moving forward.
Thank you.
And Michelle, I might want to add that the virtual AJC should be live starting Friday. That is the schedule from the state. So apparently it's going to be a good avenue that people can access from wherever they can be on a computer and get the services they need. So again, a very good opportunity for people to engage with the American Job Centers and get the services they need. Thank you.
I'll comment. I've had a chance to see some of that because I'm on the innovation committee at the state level. And so I've been able to see demonstrations of what they're doing over the last year. And they're really using some very sophisticated technology, and they're monitoring the American Job Center website. So they're actually following people as they're clicking around on the site and injecting themselves and trying to help folks. It seems like it's some really exciting work. I do think COVID sort of pushed it farther and faster than they expected, but I do hope to see good things from that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
This is Leslie Travis. This is Leslie Travis. I just want to know how the marketing is going. I saw a commercial on TV last night for jobsfortn.gov, which was pretty cool. I'm wondering if there's been any marketing for our local AJC.
Leslie, I'm not aware of any marketing at the local level by AJC. I know the state, on our executive director call last Friday, they were discussing ways to push more of that out, and even give some information about local areas. Obviously, with there being 9 across the state, and I think we have about 65 AJCs across the state. In Virginia, that number might not be exactly correct. I'm but it's kind of hard to promote each one of them individually. I know they try to do some of that on their website, and I think that's the point of directing them back to that Jobs for TN, which will ultimately, if they enter through the virtual American Job Center platform, once that's up and live, it will direct them to where they need to go. That is the intent of that. Like I said, it's fairly new, so they're trying, and I think that's one of the ways that they're going to try to market some of the centers better to drive individuals to them is through that platform.
Okay, so the Jobs for TN website, will that have a link to the new virtual AJC?
That is the intent, eventually. Like I said, this is new this Friday to go live, and I think now it's a separate platform, but eventually that is the goal, for it to be incorporated one and the same, or directly linked to the other. But yes.
And let me speak a little bit to that, Michelle, too. I did some of the testing on the virtual AJC site. It is very user-friendly, and it does have a link directly to Jobs for TN on that site. So that'll be great for our customers.
Good. So things to look forward to in the coming year. Any other business that we need to conduct today? Well, I do want to say this meeting is usually a time for us to get together and celebrate our accomplishments. Obviously, we're not able to do that this year, but I want to thank you for serving on this board during an especially difficult year. And thanks to the workforce development staff for all the hard work that goes into our continuing success. And thank you for the opportunity to serve as chair this year. I look forward to an even better year in 2021. I also wish a Merry Christmas to you and your family, and to a happier new year. Do we have anything else we need to discuss or talk about before we adjourn? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Carrie.
Have a motion to adjourn. Anyone object to a second to the
meeting?
Kathy gets her last second in. Thank you, Kathy Price. Any objections to adjourning this meeting? Everyone have a safe holiday. We will see you next year. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Hey, John, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? John? Obviously not.
I can hear you, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Okay. I was just going to suggest it's 1 minute to 11. Let's take 3 or 4 minutes here, take a quick break, and we'll start the development district in just a minute. Okay. Don't leave, everyone. Just take a quick break.
Gary Davis, how are you doing today?
I'm I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Did you need to talk to me about something?
No, I just wasn't sure if I was still on whenever you got through a few minutes ago. I was wanting to take a quick break before we start. Beth, you ready? Is everyone
It's all in
ready?
your hands now, just whatever you want to do.
All right. I think we'll go ahead and start if you think it's okay. It's about 2 minutes after, and I don't want to get started late. We'll run into SETHRA's meeting.
Correct.
So I want to welcome everyone to the Development District's meeting, call this meeting to order. And I do want to mention that probably some of our partners that serve on the Workforce Development Board may still be in attendance from their meeting that just concluded. And I want to say on behalf of the elected officials that we appreciate their service on the Workforce Board. I didn't say anything during their meeting because I knew I'd have the opportunity now. So hopefully they're still there and listening. We do appreciate their service on that board. We know that workforce development, especially now during these trying times, are very, very important. Mayor Brady, we haven't called the roll yet. Are you around? Mayor Brady.
Gary, I just had him on the phone. He was trying to get to access, so he'll be here momentarily. So
how about John Gentry? Are you around?
I'm here, sir.
Yeah.
You are. Well, John, not to put you on the spot, but will you give our invocation and then we'll have the roll call?
Okay. Absolutely. I think the Lord has me on the spot all the time just because I need. If y'all would bow with me, I'd appreciate it. Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you that despite the times that we are in, Lord, nothing has come to us as a surprise to you. Lord, you are in total control. And Lord, we thank you for this season and what it represents. And what it represents is hope, Lord, and salvation. We thank you for every community that you've set the boundaries about. Your word says you set the boundaries of the nations, Lord, and we acknowledge you for that. So, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow man. We ask for your wisdom, Lord, and we ask for discipline and courage to follow that wisdom. Be with everyone here, on all their families. Be with all those who are fallen ill to this virus, Lord. Be with them and strengthen them, and be with their families who are giving them care, and be with our physicians and our healthcare workers, Lord, to give them the extra strength they need during this time. Lord, give them wisdom. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. We know he has things under control, but I'm sure we all feel like we don't these days during COVID. I tell you, I've never seen anything like it. A little bit of housekeeping. We're once again holding our board meeting via Zoom due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and in conjunction with Governor Lee's executive order, which allows for virtual meetings. This meeting was advertised and interested parties were provided with a link to participate. The meeting is also being recorded and will be posted to our website upon conclusion. All participating members, please state your name when you're making a motion or any other actions. All votes will be recorded as roll call votes. And in the interest of time, unless someone has an objection, we will only be asking for opposing votes. And if there are none, I will move that the motion be passed unanimously. Chad Reese, our host for today's meeting, do you have any additional instructions?
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Just a few quick notes about interacting on today's Zoom meeting. I think by now, most of you are probably pretty comfortable interacting in this virtual environment. And we do our best to make these meetings run efficiently as possible with minimal distractions. So we ask that you remain muted while you're on, unless you're voting or asking questions. For any phone users that we may have, you can use mute on your phone or *6 to toggle that on and off. You can also use the chat box for any questions or comments during the meeting. Speaking of which, if we could have all the people on the call, including our guests, just type your name quickly in the chat box. We'll have a record of you being here. We'll use that as our sign-in sheet today. If you have any questions or problems, just feel free to reach out to me. Again, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Chad. Mayor Cartwright, would you do the roll call, please?
yes, sir. Good morning to you. Greg Ridley.
Here.
Gary Davis.
Here.
Michael Brady. Jim Coppinger.
Dan Sade representing.
Thank you, Dan. David Jackson.
Here.
Thank you, DJ. John Gentry.
Here.
Bill James. Bill's going to be here. Robbie Hatcher. George Thacker. Keith Cartwright here. Philip Cagle. Philip Cagle. Kevin Brooks.
Here.
Thank you, Kevin. Kelly Gibbs. Andy Burke. Mark Myers. Mark Myers. Chuck Burris. Jeremy Bivens. Doug Collins.
Present.
Gay Lou Allen.
Here.
Dwayne Land. Ted Rumley. Ed Rumley. Shannon Whitfield. Senator Bo Watson. Senator Mike Bell. Representative Ron Travis. Commissioner Warren Mackey. And Councilman Erskine Oglesby.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, Chairman, it appears we have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Mayor Cartwright. We have a quorum. Just a comment, you look awfully warm today. Okay, moving on. Minutes were in the members' packets and were previously emailed to everyone. I'm sure hopefully you've had a moment to look at those. Call for a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
I move to be approved as presented. This is Mayor Gentry.
Mayor Gentry, do I have a second?
Second, Mayor Jackson.
Okay, any questions, comments, or corrections? Okay, motion to approve. Do we have any opposing? Not, the motion passes unanimously. James Bentz, Senior Principal with Malden, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, he's gonna talk about our audit. Go ahead, James.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And as we mentioned, my name is James Bentz. I am the partner with Malden and Jenkins who was in charge of this year's audit. I'm going to go through our auditor's discussion and analysis. I'm not going to hit every page, but just kind of hit some highlights in here. Certainly, if there are any questions along the way, please feel free to interrupt, and we will try to address those questions as we go along. But again, the presentation is going to go over the results of the June 30, 2020 financial statement audit. So with that, a little bit about our firm. I know we usually only come before you at the board presentation, so just to make sure you all are familiar with us, we are a large regional firm. A big portion of what our firm does is not only financial statement audits, but specifically local government audits. And so about 28% or 30% of what our firm does is work with local governments throughout the year. So it's an industry that we spend a lot of time and effort serving. Myself included, we have 11 partners who spend 100% of their time year-round working with different local governmental entities. I was the engagement partner this year. As a general background, I've been with the firm for over 17 years now, and all 17 of those years have been serving local governments. Each of our audits also has an additional independent quality control review partner who reviews the reports and the financial statements to ensure compliance with our reporting requirements. And this year, Doug Moses served as that partner, and he's been with our firm for 21 years. As part of the audit, we do conduct the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. What that means is we're not testing 100% of your transactions. We're not providing 100% assurance on the reports, but our responsibility as the independent auditors is to audit the financial statements prepared by management and give an opinion as to whether or not they're materially correct as presented. So we use sampling and we use risk assessments to conduct our audit to be able to issue such an opinion. And for the June 30, 2020 audit, we did issue a clean opinion, which is technically referred to as an unmodified opinion, stating that the financial statements are materially correct as presented by management, which is what you've received in the past and what all local governments are pushing to achieve. So congratulations on that unmodified opinion again this year. As part of the audit, we did issue an audit report in accordance with government auditing standards, which describes any deficiencies and weaknesses identified in the internal control process through the audit. And through that process, we actually, I have a typo in here. We did not identify any material weaknesses this year. And we did issue that report dated November 29th, 2020. And so that report is included in the financial statements. Through the audit process, we do, along with issuing the opinion as to whether or not the financial statements are materially correct as presented, we also review accounting estimates and judgments which are used by management in the process of preparing those financial statements. And while it's not something that's explicitly cited in our opinions, we always want to make sure to bring that to the forefront of governance and let you know that we did review those accounting policies and the practices in place by management, and there was nothing outside of the norm for an entity of your nature. The estimates were reasonable based on our materialities, and the controls and practices in place were appropriate for an entity of your size. We did have a few audit adjustments. Those have been provided to management. Those are included and incorporated into the financial statements that are presented before you today, as well as reflected in the financial accounting ledgers for the district. On slide 8, kind of the big takeaway here that we always want to make sure is clear, we are independent of the district. As your external auditors, we maintain our independence, and we are the external body who comes in to audit the financial statements and the information prepared by management. So all of the estimates, all of the decisions in the financial statements are the responsibility and prepared by management, and we as your external auditors audit that in order to provide the opinion we did for the financial statements. One of the slides we always try to look at, especially in a comparison type format, is for your entity-wide expenditures for this year. We kind of do kind of a snapshot of how those expenditures kind of were broken down over the course of the year. So the first slide we're going to look at is the breakdown of 2020 expenditures, and then we'll compare it to 2019 to see, you'll see consistency in the way that you all have operated over the past couple of years. But obviously, when you look at this, where you see is your big 3 buckets of where the expenditures for the year were, we've got our personnel costs at about 29%, and then our beneficiaries as the major bucket that we've had our expenditures related to being about 37% this year, and then our client training being 13% of our expenditures. When you go to the next page and compare that, you'll see we've been fairly consistent over the year, over these past 2 years in where our expenditures are going from our activities. And so personnel in 2019 was 28% compared to the 27% this year. And the beneficiary and subrecipient payments are 32% in 2019, and going back, they were up to 37% for this year. And then on slide 12, page 12, we've also got the 2018 summary of the expenditures. And so you'll see, again, the same consistency in our operations. The big jump being this year with the beneficiary payments, we've actually bumped up to about 37% of our operations going for beneficiary and subrecipient payments. We had one item as a result of the audit that we refer to as a management letter comment, which is not a deficiency in the control structure, but an area or an opportunity for improvement in the management process. We had several new loan programs this year, which I'm sure you all are aware of, dealing with the current pandemic support that we're providing locally. And because of those loan programs being so new, we currently don't have estimates on the allowance for uncollectible amounts at this point. But we want to make sure that we evaluate those as we go on and we gain some experience in the collectible rates of those loan programs and continue to evaluate the need for any potential allowance on those loan programs. And so that is our recommendation for management. We've met with management and discussed this, and I know they're working on trying to build a history trend as those loans start to collect on payments throughout the course of this 2021 fiscal year. And then the last couple of slides, I certainly won't go into reading all of these details, but I do want to make sure, we always want to make sure the governing boards have the information available to them. We've got several slides which deal with new upcoming accounting standards. There's been a lot of activity from the GASB, which is the standard setting body that the accounting policies follow. There were a lot of standards coming out that would have been implemented in 2020 and 2021, but they did issue a statement number 95, which because of the pandemic, they essentially deferred all implementations for anywhere from 12 to 18 months, depending on the statement. So there are several new standards and statements coming out in the next couple of years, which will be applicable for you all, at least from a consideration of how it will impact the financial reporting. One of the big ones dealing with GASB number 87, dealing with leases, which has been pushed back 18 months, so it's not applicable when it originally was going to be applicable in 2021. It's now been pushed back, but it's going to take a lot of time on management to go through, and what it's essentially doing is evaluating any long-term payment obligations or long-term lease obligations or lease income where maybe we're renting facility space and change the way those have been reporting. So what we do is we'll try to make sure we're working with management so that they're aware of implementation dates and implementation requirements, but we always want to make sure the information is available to the governing boards because obviously decisions and actions that you all make may change what is applicable in any one given year. So we do try to make this information available, but as you'll see, there's a lot of new statements out in the next couple of years. The last thing I'll touch on in here is one of the things that we've now been able to do is we've moved our quarterly training to a virtual platform, and all of our clients, governing boards included, have the opportunity to sign up for an email, and each quarter we provide a virtual CPE, continuing education training session where we'll provide 8 hours of free continuing education to our clients. And so if you all are not aware of that and you would like to get signed up for that email blast, if you'll email myself or Paige Verco, who is our CPE coordinator, we can get you on the list so that you can have the opportunity to sign up for any of our accounting-based continuing education classes. And at that, that's the presentation I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Does anyone have any questions of James? If not, thank you, James. We appreciate that explanation. Audit Review and Finance Committee met on November the 10th and reviewed the financial statements with the auditor. Mayor Gentry, I think you have a recommendation.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we did have opportunity to review the audit via teleconference, and actually requested some further information. We received information we requested with satisfactory recommendation. We do recommend approval to the full board.
Okay, that is a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay. Is there any opposition to the motion? Not, the motion passes unanimously. And I do, as always, want to thank, someone needs to mute their button. I do want to express our appreciation to Jolly A. Well, we'll move on. And John, you want to review our financial statements?
Thank you. Can you hear me now? I think we all got muted there for a second.
Yeah, we did. I don't know how much wasn't heard, to tell you the truth, but we'll go on unless somebody tells us we need to back up.
You're good.
Oh, my goodness. Well, and what was it? What was the movie when he got up to the microphone after it was He said, that's all I got to say about that, but nobody could hear him. What was that movie? I forgot what that was. But anyway, thank you for the opportunity, Chairman. We do want to thank, again, Jolly and her staff for doing a great job, and thank Mr. Bentz for a detailed review for the board on the audit. You should have in your packet on the left-hand side a couple of months worth of financial statements, both the September and the October statements. The Finance Committee had the opportunity to review the September. However, we did not do the October, so we'll only be bringing a recommendation on the September financial statements. So beginning with September, you have a statement of financial position, assets of $14,867,560 against liabilities of $3,114,268. Have a fund balance of $11,753,292. And the month ended with $21,436 of revenue in excess of expenses. You also have your consolidated statement of revenues and expenses. I understand those are on the screen as well, and if you don't have a packet with you. So September, we're 3 months into the fiscal year, should be at 25% of revenue or expenses. That would always be the goal. Revenues are lagging a little behind, of 3.8 million against a budget of 20.6 million. We're right at 19%. This is very similar, lagging behind as in previous months, really difficulty in dispersing some of the WIOA funds, really due to the pandemic and those things going on there, and with some of the companies that are closed or partially closed. Expenses have exceeded a budget in a couple of line items. Insurance is a usual culprit as we pay that in quarterly payments. That's on line item 15. We're at 34% of the budget, and dues and subscriptions on line number 19. Your total operating expenses for this period is line item number 22, and that's $391,795 below the budget. You also have a summary of your revenues and expenses by department in your packet. And administrative overheads running right at 4.56%. And you also have a summary of cash flow for all your local government loan funds. And again, you have it for each one of your departments. Again, we met on November 10th, reviewed these September financials, and they come in the form of a motion to be approved.
Okay, we have a motion for September statements. Do we have a second?
Second, Mayor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson. Anyone in opposition? If not, the motion passes unanimously. October statements, John.
Thank you. Again, we have on your also in your packet, but and I think we're all have those on the screen as well. Beginning with your statement of financial position, assets of $15,057,525 against liabilities of $3,021,212, and a fund balance of $12,036,313. The month did end with $304,457 of revenues in excess of expenses. Beth told me not to get overly excited. It's not real cash. We do have a large loan reserve of $177,000 and $90,000 of City of Cleveland CDBG loan funds, which will be dispersed which were dispersed in November. And we really have $36,000 of revenues and expense in excess of expenses. So Beth always likes for me to kind of calm everyone's excitement on those numbers. But you also have your consolidated statement of revenues and expenses for October. And these will have us at 33% of the fiscal year. Revenues, again, slightly behind at 26%. And with expenses exceeding budget in about 3 different line items. Number 15, again, insurance. 19, again, your dues and subscription coming at 37%. And your marketing and miscellaneous at 66%, which is line item number 20. Our total operating expenses are below budget, running at 26% or $544,773. And again, that's on line item 22 for that number. Your summary of revenues and expenses are also included, and that where you'll find your administrative overhead percentage at 4.47%, a little bit less than last month, looks like. You also have a summary of cash flow with accounting of all your local government fund balances. And if anyone doesn't have any questions, we really don't have a recommendation since we did not address that in our November meeting.
Okay, that's your October statements. Do we have any questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Cartwright.
Second?
I second it. Thacker.
Thank you, George. Any opposition? If not, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, John, for those reports. Moving on, Beth Jones, give us an update, please, on our personnel.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. On the left-hand side of your packet, we've endeavored to provide you with some photographs and some short biographical information on our new employees. We had 4 open positions in community and economic development, which we backfilled. Many of you met Chanel Hippix last week on our RPO call. She's going to be the coordinator for that and also serving as a regional planner. Sarah Murray has joined us as a regional planner, Alex Moore as a housing coordinator, and Stephanie Hare as the historic preservation planner. Kudos to the staff, Dawn, Chuck, and everybody else, Chad, for searching and getting our talent backfilled real quickly. We also had 2 positions filled in aging, Kelsey Derrick, who is the CREVA advocate, and Pam Evans, who is a senior health coordinator. If you were on the workforce board meeting, you also heard about the addition of Lisa Buchanan for performance and compliance. So they're fully staffed. As of right now, we are simply advertising for an aging accountant. We've had a lot of new aging programs that come with a lot of requirements, and it's grown to the point that they need a point person within the agency. Relative to the pandemic and COVID, just to give y'all a quick update, I know everybody's tired of updates. We have had 8 employees that have actually recovered from the virus. Typically, that is about a 2-week absence from work. We currently have 1 home that is sick, and we have 1 that has been quarantined due to a family exposure. And as of this morning, 2 others that are being tested. So we'll keep you posted in that regard. The office has been closed twice for decontamination. We are back to staff rotating through the office, being here a couple of times a week. And if you have the ability and capability to work from home, we're asking you to do so just to reduce the risk. More than likely, we will continue that until the first of the year, but staff is still on call and very responsive, needless to say. So the only other updates I have for you all have to do with funding and how we have been impacted one way or the other. As you may recall, this past year, the legislature graciously restored the cut that development districts took that was proposed by Representative Andy Holt. That was a $19,333 cut, which unfortunately is a recurring cut. So unless that gets restored annually, that is going to continue. As a result of the pandemic, as you all will remember, F&A requested that all state agencies cut their budgets by 12%. Commissioner Roth, with the ECD budget, decided to cut the development district line item by 12%. So that amounted to a $20,000 cut that we took this year to the budget. So we kind of broke even this year, but I'm sharing this with you all so that you understand next year that's going to be in the $40,000 range if we don't get back in the governor's budget or if the legislature doesn't restore our funding. In addition to that, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the solid waste meeting at the end, TDEC classifies the technical assistance contract that we did for you all on your annual planning reports and your grants and everything as discretionary funding. So they have chosen to cut all of their discretionary funding, and as a result of that, eliminated our contract, which was $60,000 to provide additional staffing capacity to you all. We've been very fortunate this year from the standpoint of, one, I think I shared with you, SETD did provide pandemic funding or COVID funding to development districts. So we did get additional $200,000 for this year and next year. So that helps with staffing capacity. We also, as a result of the staff filing some applications with rural development, we received a TAT grant and an RCDI grant, which will also provide additional funding for the next couple of years. So we've done really well in trying to make sure that we continue to have the staff capacity out there for you all. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, because our Hamilton County budget request is due in January, we have to complete the paperwork. It requires the board's authorizing you to sign the Hamilton County budget request. We do not anticipate any increases in membership investments. As you all know, that's 21 cents per capita. We don't typically set those till March, but we have to turn in our Hamilton County budget requests. So I do need the board to authorize you to submit the Hamilton County budget request based on our per capita investment and our tourism dues.
Okay, Beth, thank you. I need a motion to authorize me to do what Beth just said there.
Submit the Hamilton County budget request.
Right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to give authority.
Second?
Second, Mayor Jackson.
Any opposition? If not, motion passes unanimously. Anything else, Beth?
That concludes my report. I just would like to also personally thank the staff for all the work that they do to get these meetings together for you all, the reporting, the board packages, the technology, and they just do an outstanding job. And I just want to thank them all for their efforts.
Okay, yes, we all agree. We think, and I think Jolly and her people a while ago, but I was probably muted during that time. So
yes, sir, you were.
So repeat my thank you, Jolly. We appreciate you and your entire staff. Todd Byram, if you're with us,
yes,
I think you have an overview on a loan request.
Yes, this is a recommendation for approval of a loan. The loan is for RG Chattanooga LLC, doing business as Rodizio Grill, downtown Hamilton County, and requests of $250,000 in funding from the EDA CARES Act Economic Adjustment Programs. This will be our first loan out of that program, for funds to provide working capital and assist in payroll and day-to-day operations of the Rodizio Grill restaurant in downtown Chattanooga. Total project cost is $739,587.76, which will be participating in a restructure of an existing loan with Tennessee Valley Credit Union to RG Chattanooga. Collateral will be a shared first lien, security interest, and UCC filing on all business assets. The loan will be personally guaranteed by the owners, Roshan Amin and Pranitha Santi. The loan will have a term of 6 years, priced at 3.5%. And just to point out, the EDA CARES Act money from us is going to be participated at 0%, and the blended rate for the entire loan amount will be 3.5%. The business currently has 22 full-time equivalent employees, which will all be retained due to the ability to borrow these funds from the CARES Act Economic Adjustment Program. This loan has not been before loan committee as of yet, so the board approval is contingent upon approval from loan review committee when it's presented.
Okay, Todd, thank you. Any questions about this loan? So we can go ahead and give approval contingent upon the approval from the loan review committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion to do so? I didn't get you there. Repeat. Do I have? Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor Jackson.
Thank you. Still says we have 40 participants. Hang in there with us, folks. We need to do what we can to save Reduzio. It's a good place to eat.
Quick question, Chairman, or I guess to Todd. This is a different location from, I guess there's one of these also in the Hamilton Place Mall. Is it the same ownership or just a franchised organization with the other restaurant come for the same loan?
They're not the same ownership.
Okay.
Yeah, they are franchises, but different owners.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anyone opposed? If not, the motion passes unanimously. Contingent upon the loan reviews committee, okay? Anything else, Todd?
No, sir, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on. I want to remind the board that Rural Development has approved 2 grants this past year totaling $350,000, TAP grant and RCDI grant over a 2-year period that enables us to have both economic and community development staff capacity. This is unprecedented, and as a board, we need to convey our sincere appreciation for this funding during these very challenging times. Jim Tracy is the director of U.S. Rural Development. He was unable to be with us today, but I understand Chris Hampton, who is the Community Programs Director, is with us. Is that correct? Chris, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chris, you've got the floor to talk about funding rural development has available for local governments.
All right, thanks, guys, and proud to be here. Thanks for having us. On behalf of Senator Tracy, our state director, he couldn't be here today, but he sends his gratitude and encourages you guys to keep doing what you're doing, especially during this pandemic. Real briefly, during 2020, I want to remind you guys we're alive and well. We've invested over $1.5 billion in rural Tennessee. You guys got your share of that, of course, in your area. We had statewide $1.1 billion went in our housing programs. That's for purchasing, construction, or rehab. $202 million in rural utility programs. That could be schools, water, sewer, infrastructure, et cetera. $30 million in rural businesses, creating and saving jobs. $93 million went in our electric programs. $69 million in our telecom programs statewide. Again, want to mention the technical assistance training grant that was awarded to the development district there for $150,000. And again, the Rural Community Development Initiative grant was awarded for $250,000. And I can't say enough about the staff at the development district and the good working relationships that we have. Encourage all of your communities and everyone to reach out, lean on these folks. They are true stewards of assistance for your area and provide an essential service to us in times of trying to get these dollars out the door and get them in the areas that impact your community. So again, kudos to Beth and her staff at Southeast Tennessee Development District, and thanks for being here. If you guys need anything from us, we're not always in the office during the pandemic. We are keeping the doors open, but at a minimum. Feel free to reach out. Let me give you my cell. It's 931-510-0250. If you guys need anything or have any ideas for capital improvements, housing, rural businesses, I can't answer all your questions, but I know someone that can. So just contact me and I'll get you in touch with who you need to speak with. And we look forward to a good relationship in fiscal year 21. And hopefully we can be of assistance to you guys then. Thanks so much for having us.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Chris? We appreciate that. Beth, are you still there? Beth?
Yes, sir.
You may have already gotten this through the chat, I don't know, but some of them are asking, Senator Watson is on our board and he's chairman of the budget committee. What does he say about the budget cut and about our possibilities of getting that restored?
We had spoken with him last year, and basically what he had said as budget chairman, he himself does not take funding requests forward. So he recommended that we talk to Senator Yeager, which we did. Senator Yeager was able to get like 21 signatures or something on the bill. I will remind you, it's the only amendment that was unanimously passed by both houses. So we have yet to get to him this year about this additional ECD cut. We are currently working on trying first to talk with Butch Ely about the governor's budget. And then Senator Yeager has queued us up to speak with him again the 1st of January. So we're working on it, is all I can say.
All right.
Additionally, we're not, as you all know, our line item is a pass-through in ECD's budget. So it was a little bit of a quote unquote, it was a little bit of a shot. It was an easy place for them to make a 12% cut without really impacting their operations. And so I guess the question is that if it's supposed to be passed through, put there by the legislature, is that an appropriate place to cut? And I guess that is one of the disadvantages about being part of another department's budget. But anyway, we're working on it. I'll keep you posted.
All right, Beth, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, economic development, SEDS. Chuck Hammonds, you have an overview on the SEDS update?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board knows, we have to do the SEDS update to meet our EDA requirements to provide staff and planning, economic planning for the area. You should have received a copy of the updated SEDS or an email with the PDF version. I will remind everyone that this is an update year. We don't do a complete rewrite. Our complete rewrite will not be is not due until September of 2022. So we have another year to update. What I did want, we have updated it, put new numbers in it, and we also placed some COVID information in it this year. I want to thank Ashley Gates. She's the one that actually manages this document and does a great job with it. And what she led us to was a new way to present our SEDS on the internet. So let me see if I can share this. If you go to our web page, as you can see, sedev.org, and you click on fields, you'll see where we have the community, we have the comprehensive economic development strategy. So you can click on this, and you can, this is actually a website that we've partnered with called Live Stories, and they take our SEDS and tell a story with it online. So as you look here, you'll find our executive summary. You can download a full report in PDF. And it's basically just broken out as our SEDS document is. All this is updated as new information becomes available from the census, so we don't have to pull that information. So as you can see, and then if you go over here, you can click on the regional data, regional connectivity, how we do for commute times. We have our maps. You can go back. So it's just another way to present the data and make it available to you all, and it's very interactive. So if nobody has any other questions, I will entertain, or has any questions, I'll certainly entertain them, sir.
Anybody have any questions for Chuck?
Mayor, I would just encourage the board to use this link to pull any kind of current data that you need on your population, your per capita income, your median family household, your industry targets. Again, that data is being pulled real time. So that keeps you from having to go check all those other sources. It's a one stop. So I encourage you all to take a look at it.
Okay, thank you, Beth. All right, I think you have a resolution in your packet, resolution 2020-07, approving this SEDS update. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve Cartwright.
I have a second.
Second, Mayor Jackson.
Okay, any questions or comments about the resolution or the update? If not, anyone in opposition to the motion? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on the agenda, program updates. First of all, community development and planning. Chuck Hammonds.
Thank you, sir. Just to be brief and not hold everybody up, you did receive a copy of the grants report. You did receive a copy of our community and economic development report that highlights the work that's been done throughout the last quarter. Also, you will have received a tourism report. Just to let you know, the tourism department did receive a grant from the Tennessee Tourist Development Associate Department. It was a 50-50 grant for right at $20,000. That's a marketing grant. So we'll be updating maps, doing a music trail video, stuff like that. And that's basically all I have, sir, unless anybody has specific questions.
Okay, any questions for Chuck from anyone? Moving on, Stephanie Watkins, SETA and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the report that Chuck had mentioned that was in your packets, it was there a minute ago on the screen. You can read through that, but I'll highlight a few things. As I mentioned last quarter, economic recovery is happening. Project activity continues with existing industry celebrations and new company announcements. There on the report in September, Colonial Chemical celebrated the opening of its newly constructed 6,000 square foot administration building that will accommodate 26 administrative and executive offices and some conference rooms. Given the nature of the products that Colonial Chemical manufactures, the company is experienced growth amid the global pandemic, and we are working with the Marion County Industrial Development Board to make application to Tennessee ECD's Fast Track Economic Development Program on behalf of the company. In October, Canon Automotive Solutions, previously referred to as Project Hawk, a maker of metal auto parts, made an announcement to invest about $114 million and create 197 jobs within the next 5 years. The company will be the first to locate in Cleveland's new Spring Branch Industrial Park. Most recently, Reliance Insurance Services announced the location of their corporate headquarters here in Chattanooga and will create 100 jobs at the Liberty Tower location, and an additional 75 jobs will be remote workers. Gestamp Chattanooga also made an announcement to expand operations to accommodate the electrification of automobiles here in Chattanooga, with plans to invest $85 million and create 260 jobs. We're expecting another announcement from a medical device manufacturer this week here in Chattanooga that will create 80 new jobs and invest $8 million. During second quarter 2021, we received 14 RFIs and were able to submit 4 proposals to those RFIs. Company announcements that have been made so far will result in approximately $200.3 million in capital investment and 587 jobs. We continue to work with McMinn County EDA on their site development grant and Cleveland Bradley Economic Development for their site development grant, as well as Marion County site development grant, which should be completed by the end of December. We continue to work with McMinn County on their TVA Invest Prep project for the North Etowah Industrial Park, and plan to assist Marion County in potential application for TVA's Invest Prep program to assist with site prep on the Nickajack Industrial site and port property. The community is also considering application for ECD Select TN Certified Sites Program for site certification on that property. We continue to obtain video and aerial imagery for industrial sites throughout the SETHRA region. Most recently, we visited Catoosa and Fannin counties in Georgia, and we're working to obtain footage on 3 industrial properties in Hamilton County, 3 properties in Union County, Georgia, as well as obtain footage of the Cleveland Bradley Spring Branch Industrial Park. And that is all my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie? Not. Thank you. Chris Grant, Aging and Disability.
Morning. I do have my report also in the packet, and you'll see that we featured nutrition this time. There are lots of different reports in there, but I did want to go over our Families First funding, because we partnered with 5 restaurants and provided a little bit of an overview, but we worked in 5 counties. In Bledsoe County, we partnered with Morgan Brothers, and with that partnership, we were able to serve 335 clients, providing them 27,476.
Before you may call, I'm still on this conference call.
Did someone have a question?
Hello?
Okay, I'll go on. In Grundy County, we partnered with Simply Southern Cafe. They're located in Pelham. The meals were provided there 5 days a week, as they were with Morgan Brothers. We served 154 clients, feeding them 11,968 meals. In Marion County, we partnered with Sue Bob's Diner 5 days a week. We served 409 clients in that area, and they provided 38,510 meals. For Meigs County, we partnered with Dixon's Barbecue and Cheesecake. They served 546 clients, providing them 21,063 meals. They were open, they provided meals on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And in Sequatchie, we partnered with Anthony and Teresa's Home Cooking. They served 476 clients, providing them 37,308 meals. So our Families First restaurant partnerships ended on October 31st, but the success of those partnerships has been tremendous. So all in all, we served 1,868 clients, 136,325 meals with the funding that we received through Families First. So we want to thank our community restaurant partners, and we'll present them some appreciation plaques here pretty soon. And we'll go to each restaurant that we partnered with, and we'd like to invite the mayors of those counties when we're ready to make that presentation. So we'll reach out to y'all and let you know when we're going to get that set up and see if you're available to go with us. But it was a great project. Lots of people were served, and then all of those individuals were given information about the congregate site in that county. So if they still need meals beyond the ones that they received through the restaurants, they can go to the local congregate site in their county. And then one other thing I wanted to point out is our advisory council. There's some information about the purpose of the council and the work that they do with us. We've listed out each of the counties and the individuals representing those counties right now. The only county that is, two counties that are not represented at this point are Grundy and Ray. So we hope to have some representatives appointed as soon as possible. It would be helpful to have somebody from each of those counties. And if you'll look to see if you have any vacancies available in your county, please feel free to send us an appointment for your county, and we'll get them added to our advisory board. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Well, Chris, thank you for that report. Career and Workforce Development, Michelle Holt has already given her report once today at the Workforce Board meeting, but if you could, Michelle, you might give us a few highlights for the local officials that weren't at that workforce board.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. And I won't give the full complete report and lengthy report, but I will hit a few highlights for you or touch on a few. At the bottom of the report on the first page, there's an announcement about an ARC grant opportunity that the board, Chattanooga State Community College, and the Development District is supporting for Marion County in pursuit of an Appalachian Regional Commission grant to build out the final 12,488 square feet there at the Advanced Manufacturing and Information Technology Building on the campus of the Marion County Institute of Higher Education. That will support a state-of-the-art healthcare facility to implement a nursing program in the Kimball area. The next, the top portion of that report shows some of our regional planning efforts, and then the back page will highlight our local plan. The one thing to point out with the regional, we coordinate planning efforts with the East region, which comprises Northeast, East, and Southeast local areas, which is about 34 counties in the East region. Obviously, with COVID, that has created some challenges with trying to convene those groups. It was difficult prior to this, but it's become even more difficult. But what we've been able to do this year is put some work in on developing out some committees. So we developed out an Economic and Workforce Analysis Committee, a Strategies for Service Integration Committee, and a Visions and Goals and Implementation Committee that will help keep us on track with some of our regional planning efforts. And then on the back page, you'll notice with some of our near-term goals, if you all will recall from our strategic plan that Thomas P. Miller submitted, we had short-term goals and longer-term goals. We have been able to work on some of our shorter-term goals, with the first one being assisting employers with the post-COVID-19 needs. We've been able to continue to do some of that work with them and offer some grant opportunities, most recently with some CARES Act funding that we were awarded through, it's good through December. We've been able to engage or reach out to about 3,000. I wish it were 300,000. There's probably that many that needs the help, but 3,000 unemployed individuals to offer these courses. We have about 150 enrolled, and the majority are scheduled to complete that short-term training that funding is supporting by the end of the year. We also have some contracts monies that's available for businesses in our area. We have about 10 contracts with local employers and about 75 participants currently. We'll continue to work that through the end of the year. We've been able to expand some access points. Those access points are not staffed centers. Those are just points of contact in communities where individuals frequent usage, which helps them connect to the American Job Centers. That's City Fields in Bradley County, Grace Center in Grundy County, and Chattanooga Endeavors here in Hamilton County. And then we've also been doing work around expanding our work-based learning programs, the work and learn model. Like I said previously, it's a model that we've known has worked for years. We're excited about some apprenticeship opportunities that may be coming forward with that, and engaging our business service teams and the AJCs to help push that out to our business and industry in the community. And then the only other point that I will note is that we are in phase 3 of our AJCs being open, and we're following the CDC guidance and direction from the local elected officials. I will say that we had hoped this year with our planning that we would be able to have a better coordinated effort with our local elected officials and workforce board members being able to work together. We had high hopes, and we had tried to make this planning cycle more about strategy and less about compliance. And COVID came along and kind of derailed a little bit of that. But we are looking at some innovative ways that we can all come together as the two groups, because we know workforce development is a high priority for all of you and your communities, and we're committed to providing that outreach and service to your constituents. And that completes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions or comments for Michelle? But yes, like you said, workforce is very important in all of our communities, that's for sure, especially now. Okay, other business. We'll be letting our members know if it will be virtual or hopefully in person, but our next meeting is scheduled for March the 23rd, 2021, I believe. So at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to John Gentry, who will chair the Solid Waste Board meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. I'll call the meeting to order of the Southeast Tennessee Municipal Solid Waste Board. We got 3 items to discuss today. First being the Ray County landfill expansion. And then we'll talk a little bit about the annual planning report, some technical assistance, and then we'll finish up with the post-closure landfill requirements that are going to be coming down by rule, it looks like, more than legislation. So I'm going to begin on the Ray County landfill expansion. And I'm going to ask Garrett Haynes if you'll bring us up to date on the Ray County landfill proposal.
Yes, sir. So Mr. Ron Dale with Santec Waste Services presented in Ray County on November 17th at a public hearing, and everything went well. He presented the expansion for the Ray County landfill. There were a few questions that were answered, and we're set today to receive a vote on this application.
Thank you, Garrett. I did have the opportunity to attend that, and there were no attendees or comments from the public, if I recall correctly. So I'm going to call on County Executive George Thacker from Ray County, if he's with us today, if he wants to provide any comment.
Yes, thank you. By the way, you and Gary both, thank you for helping me. I ended up getting another 7% than I wasn't thinking I was going to get. So it went a lot better, and I really appreciate that meeting. I encourage anybody that's even thinking about doing these contracts to get with everybody and bring your strength together to help each other, because I think that really helped me a lot. And it wasn't something that wasn't fair. It was just the right thing to do on both sides. So I think it was good for Ray County, and I would really appreciate if y'all would consider Ray County getting this. We bought the property years ago. It's right next to the property we have now. So I really appreciate y'all considering this. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Is there any comment? Anyone in attending virtually has any other comments on this? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we would grant this expansion to the Ray County landfill as being work is being done by Santec.
So move, Mayor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson.
Second, Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor. Well, let's do that back. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, we'll consider that as that expansion approved. Thank you very much. Beth Jones, are you still with us?
I am.
You want to talk to us a little bit about the annual planning report?
Yes, first and foremost, for the benefit of the board, as you all may recall, in March of last year, you all approved the solid waste annual report, which was submitted to TDEC, that had the region as a whole at a 44% diversion rate. Following that, the TDEC staff did what they call their qualitative analysis, and if they were unable to verify specific industry information about recycling, they deleted it from the report, and as such, the region as a whole dropped to below 25%. Again, this is only due to underreporting by business and industry. We tried to appeal to TDEC to allow us to resurvey business and industry and get more of those reports in. We're currently in the process of doing that. Whether or not they'll allow that information to be included remains to be seen. In the meantime, you all heard me talk about the fact that we no longer have the technical assistance contract, although it is part of the law, which is in your packet. But you did get an email from Trey White, who is asking you all as county governments whether or not you need assistance in completing your annual report for solid waste. And we would encourage you all to complete the report. It would be, again, they're telling you you have no choice. This is a requirement of the law, but they're not really telling you what all this entails. The narratives themselves are over 100 questions. It is a collection of a lot of data, especially from business and industry. Most of you all do not have any of the staff to be able to do this work for you. So again, make sure you respond to that email. we would encourage you to say that you would like for TDEC to comply with the law and again award those technical assistance grants so that that capacity can be provided to the region. But that's all I have to share in that regard.
Thank you, Beth. I know hopefully that when the legislature reconvenes, I understand they've had some banner revenues that are going to change a few things. And so hopefully those things will be restored. I know personally in McMinn County, I don't have a solid waste director. I have a landfill director, and he's good at burying garbage, you know, and doing some great things. But when it comes to this level of work, he just doesn't have the time or expertise. And we've really relied heavily on the development district to do it. So I appreciate you keeping us informed on that. We'll have to be unified as we address the TDEC. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. If anyone else has anything, we'll be glad to address it in the area of solid waste.
Don't forget the information about the post-closure landfill requirements.
Oh, excuse me, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Chuck.
Yes, sir. We caught wind of this when Ray County's expansion was going on. So I started looking into it, and now I'm really confused. Let me share my screen. There it is. This is from TDEC's, their rule that I pulled off the Secretary of State's. It says up here, the post-closure plan must include at a minimum, and this is the new part for class 1 and 2 landfills, a 50-year period instead of a 30-year period. Now, I also find it interesting that if you go on down the rules, in another section of the rule, talks about post-closure care plan, it's a 30-year. So I don't know which is which now. We have been told that actually the 50-year goes at the back end of the 30-year, and it's actually 80 years. So we probably need to figure out what's going on. But that's all I had. I don't know if anybody else has heard it. I believe Mr. Rondell from Ray County did mention it during the during the public hearing for the expansion. So has anybody else heard anything about this?
I know our engineers are in contact with TDEC trying to get clarification as well.
Okay. All right. Well, as soon as we find something out, we'll let everybody know. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
Definitely need to be aware, if indeed you're going to be responsible for post-closure and maintenance of your landfills for 80 years, you need to know about that. We also were told that you're going to be required to submit plans about how you intend to use your closed landfill property. So just get your crystal balls out, look 80 years into the future and come up with that.
I do know the grant assurance contracts that they've been sending out. They said they are readjusting those, that those amounts are way too low. And so that will be in the coming years, they're going to adjust those up to more accurately reflect the true cost of post-closure. So more good news on the front.
Well, and I think the question that some folks had to me is, does TDEC have to submit this to the legislature and the government ops committee or anything in that regard? And I'm not sure that always occurs because they may not be aware, but I think just as a group collectively, you all need to be aware that these proposed changes are out there.
Yes, absolutely.
And some of the 30-year periods are almost coming to an end too. So just, yeah, definitely. I think the Bledsoe, Sequatchie, and possibly the Grundys are nearing the end of their 30-year period. So definitely be great to get some clarification on exactly what the requirements are going forward.
Is it possible to get a list of all the sales in the region that are near that 30-year closure time? Would that be too difficult, or do they have that readily available at TDEC, or do we just?
I don't think it's on their TDEC website, but we could put it together based on the information we have.
Some of the new county mayors, but they may find out that they have an old closed landfill that haven't really had to do anything with. It's may be affected. So, thank you very much. Any other items from anyone with us today? If not, we'll turn it back over to Chairman Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Gentry. And I think that's all we have before us now. We're running a little bit late. I'm sure SETHRA is biting at the bullet ready to go here. I just want to very quickly say that we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Hopefully you have a safe, but also this year, especially a healthy Merry Christmas. Okay. And with that, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. This is Oglesby.
Okay. Thank you, sir. To have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any opposition? If not, motion passes unanimously and we are adjourned. We will see you after Christmas. Good one.
Will you call me Beth Jones, George Thacker, please?
I'll be glad to.
This is Mayor Jackson. We need all SETHRA board members to stay on. We'll start a meeting in 2 or 3 minutes. Give everybody a break right quick.
Okay.
Close the door so nobody walks in on you.
Bill, you with us?
Yes, sir.
We'll give just another minute to give the mayors a minute to take a break. They've been on here for 2 hours, so.
Yeah, fine.
Bill Hoffman, can you hear me? This is Otto.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I haven't seen you in a long time. Good to have you back.
Well, just a short termer.
Short termer? That's good. That's good. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Stay healthy.
You same to you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll welcome everyone to our SETHRA meeting. You see a familiar face on your screen. That is interim chair, director, Bill Harmon. Glad to have Bill back, trying to get some things squared away back at SETHRA and Dunlap and Cleveland stuff, and getting some things heading in the right direction in the past few weeks since Bill's stepped in. But good to have you back, Bill, for a short period of time. At this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Gentry again to give the invocation. Let's remember one of our own, Mayor Bill James, Meigs County, has a COVID, not feeling very well. Keep him in our prayers. Also, one of our city mayors, Mark Myers, who serves on the Development District Board of Directors, is waiting his test results. He thinks he's negative, but he went and was tested yesterday. Both his brothers has had it, so he's had a few symptoms and went to get tested. So let's keep all these families in our minds, especially those that where death has entered them. They've lost their loved ones, not only to COVID, but for other reasons. But Mayor Gentry, if you do the invocation, please.
Thank you very much. Yes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come to you again, Lord, and ask your presence to be with us, Lord, even though we're all meeting in different places. Lord, you're an omniscient and omnipresent God, and you're with each of us. Lord, we ask you to keep your angels of protection around everyone. Lord, we ask you to be specifically, Lord, with those who are suffering from COVID, not only our elected officials, Lord, but those that they are serving. Lord, bring them peace at this time of unknown with this virus, Lord, as they don't know how it affects them. Lord, I ask you to be with them. And Lord, all those who have lost family members, Lord, be with them with your unspeakable peace, Lord, that they would know that you are indeed amongst them and have all things under control. Lord, I ask you to be with SETHRA, Lord, as a transition time is with us. Lord, I ask you to provide the right leadership, Lord, as the mission of the organization, we hope, Lord, would align with your word of helping our fellow man and those that are less fortunate, Lord, and empower them to meet their true potential and the purpose that you have for their life, to make and have life more abundantly. Lord, we thank you again for this season that reminds us of the hope that's in your Son. And in that name, we ask this prayer to be made in this petition. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor Gentry. Ms. Paulette, she's the new executive secretary. Will you call roll, please?
Mayor Brady?
Here.
Mayor Brooks?
Mayor Brooks is here.
Mayor Cagle? Executive Cartwright? Mayor Davis?
Here.
Mayor Gentry?
Here.
Executive Hatcher? Chairman Jackson?
Here.
Mayor James? Mayor Land? Mayor Llewellyn? Mayor Perkinson?
Here.
Mayor Pesnell? Mayor Ridley? Executive Thacker?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Is that Mayor Llewellyn?
Thacker.
Mayor Thacker,
Okay.
Executive Thacker. Sorry.
Executive Thacker. Mr. Appelt?
Here.
Ms. Dell? Ms. Funioli? I saw her. Ms. Funioli? Yes, I see her. Okay. And Ms. Shelton. There you are. And Ms. Shelton? No.
We have a quorum, Ms. Paulette.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 22nd meeting and October 1st meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. This is Mayor Gentry.
Motion, Mayor Gentry, a second.
I'll second Davis.
Second, Mayor Davis. Any questions or comments? If there's any opposed, please say by saying no. Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the program updates. First one, the community service, Ms. Karen Davis.
Sir, if you'll look in your packet, you have the program numbers that we sent out. They're also on your screen. Thank you, Ms. Paulette. For September through November, it's the clients we serve in the different programs that we have at SETHRA. And we do have also, this is just not community services. We do have transportation and corrections numbers on there also. If anybody has any questions or comments.
Any questions for Miss Karen?
And on the next screen, we'll have Mr. Harmon wanted to give out the commodity schedule for this coming year, the end of 2020 and 2021, just so that you'll know, and the dates that they'll be given out at their locations.
Okay.
And that's all I have today.
Thank you, Miss Karen. Anybody have any questions for Miss Karen? Okay, well, thank you, Miss Karen.
Thank you.
Next is transportation report and Mr. Bill Harmon.
Well, I'm filling in for Chris. Chris is in Nashville representing us today in front of the Sunset Review Committee. So you have a report. If you got any serious questions about this, you're going to have to ask him. But the good news on this is that CUOTS down here is 414,000 pending. We were notified today that we have the contract signed for that. That will be utilized to match the other dollars because it's 100% state dollars, which is going to help us draw down those federal dollars pretty quick. The ridership is down in all systems for various reasons. People are just afraid to go anywhere. Doctors are cutting back on appointments and things of that nature. The revenue, of course, is down because of TennCare and other things. So that's basically it in transportation. But like I say, if you have any specific questions, I'll get Chris to be glad to answer them when he gets back tomorrow. The community corrections is down because lots of courts have been shut and things of that nature. But we're holding our own in every one of them, and funding is holding up pretty good. So that's all I have to say about that, unless you got questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Bill? Okay, thank you, Bill.
I haven't been back long enough to have very many answers.
We appreciate you coming back and helping us out, though. Okay, next thing on the agenda is committee updates, personnel, Mayor County Exec Cartwright.
Mayor Jackson, he's having trouble connecting. I'm trying to get on with him.
Okay, we'll come back to personnel. Let's go on down to Mayor Gentry and the finance. Mayor Gentry.
Get unmuted there. Thank you. The finance committee did meet via Zoom. Tell you how bad my memory is. I said I had to look back. I thought that was yesterday. So things are getting tough on us. So we went over 3 different items. First, we did our financials through the year ending October 31st, and I'll ask Lynn to go over those in just a second. We also went over a list of items on the administrative side of all items that are over $3,000. Just ask for that to be reported to the finance committee every quarter. And that's not your client service or anything, just administratively, any of those items that we're doing over $3,000 and went over those. I think we had 4 or 5 items there. And then we also talked a little bit about mileage reimbursement for board members, primarily those when we do meet again in Dunlap or Chattanooga, some of our smaller cities that do not provide transportation or reimbursement, that our bylaws do provide that SETHRA reimburses them for mileage. And it did come as a recommendation from the board that in our bylaw says we may do it, but the finance committee did make a recommendation that we would provide the opportunity for those board members that do not receive a government vehicle or anything to make that trip. that we would provide mileage reimbursement. And that comes in the form of a motion from the Finance Committee.
Okay, you heard the motion from Mayor Gentry. Do I hear a second?
Second, Barbara Fanioli.
Okay, we have a second. Any other questions or comments?
No one asked if we would reimburse them for their internet via Zoom. So our bylaws just provide for gasoline. So.
Okay.
What about the cell phone?
So we'll have to bring that up again, you know.
I'm kidding. Go ahead, boy. Good.
All right.
Mayor Cartwright back with you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cartwright. All right, is there any opposed? Not hearing any opposed, that passes unanimous. Lynn, you want to go to the reports?
Yes, sir. Let me share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll briefly go over what we went over in more detail yesterday morning in the Finance Committee meeting. First, we took a look at the schedule of program budget amendments and revisions. Notable from the baseline budget at the beginning of the year, we have received over $1.5 million in additional funding, primarily due to the CARES Act funding. And just about all of these additional funds have gone to client benefits, to be expended in client benefits. Then we took a look at the revenues and expenditures by program compared to budget as a percentage of year completed. I'll briefly mention a couple of items on there. The third program down, program code 2001, we see a deficit of almost $124,000. We already have enough CARES Act money to cover that deficit, but that money is, of course, federal. We have an older regular federal operating grant we're trying to close out. The FTA wants us to get it closed out. In that older money, we have funding that's 50% match. So we held off invoicing until we got this UROP grant from TDOT, which Director Harmon mentioned a moment ago. And that UROP money is strictly state money. It's 80% match. And we can use that, I mean, it's 20% match, 80% funding. We can use that grant to draw down 80% of the remaining 50% of the old money. We're just trying to optimize available funding in order to close out an old grant. The misdemeanor program, the almost $12,000 deficit, as Director Harmon mentioned, activity in the corrections departments are down. Courts closed, probation visits have been cut back, and a lot of these clients have had their ability to pay reduced due to work shutdowns. The other deficit, the $19,000 in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We have a substantial cash reserve in that program, and this is HUD's way of recapturing some of that reserve. When we drop on down to the bottom line, we see an excess of revenue or over expenses of $204,000. Next, we looked at the income statement. Again, that's through October 31st. That's through 4 periods of our fiscal year, or 33% completed. The 3 notes on there just pertain to items which are large expenditures early in the year, in the first couple of months of the year, and they skew those percentages high. And we drop down to the bottom line. to the excess of revenue over expenses of $204,000. Next, we looked at the governmental funds balance sheet. Regular operating cash due in October, close to 5.8 million. Receivables, around 3.5 million. The cash, the days in operating cash is a little over 130 days in operating cash, and that's just the year-to-date expenses divided by the number of days year-to-date that equals an average expense per day, and that's divided into the cash to get that 130 days. Current ratio was that's the ratio of assets to current liabilities was at 3.8. Next, we looked at the agency administrative services analysis. These are administrative services expenses that's indirect overhead. Basically, these costs can't be traced to a specific program or activity. They go into a cost pool and are allocated out by our cost allocation plan, which is approved by our state cognizant agency. That agency is the Department of Human Services. And we see that through October, again, administrative services costs were a little over 295,000, equating to 5.8% of the total expenses incurred by the agency as of the end of October. And the comparison of the budget percentage is a little bit above 33% at 37%. Then the last item we covered a little bit was the procurement over $3,000. This is year to date, but I went ahead and included one that happened right at the end of the last fiscal year because I don't think it had been covered previously. The roof at Jasper, $15,000. The first two items are not really pure procurements. They're more contractual, but I included those. And then we see the promotional material for outreach and the commodity boxes for Lowe's at $8,800. And that's pretty much what we covered yesterday morning in the Finance Committee meeting. Does anybody have any questions, issues, or comments?
Anybody have any questions for Lynn or Mayor Gentry about the finance report? Okay, not hearing any. Thank you, Lynn, for that report. We'll back up on the agenda now.
Mayor Jackson, that does come in the form of a motion for approval from the Finance Committee.
That's what I just fixed back up to. So we have a motion for finance. Do we have a second?
Second, Mayor Cartwright.
Second, Candidate Cartwright. Any discussions or questions? All those that are opposed, vote for saying no. Not hearing any, it passes unanimously. Okay, we will back up in the agenda now to personnel. Candidate Cartwright.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We finally got back through via telephone anyway. The Personnel Committee met via Zoom on Monday the 7th, which was yesterday. There were certain items, 3 items specifically we took under, took action on. They will be brought forward at our January 12th meeting. Just a couple of those things, clarification of our bylaws. We had some contradiction on the number of years. Also, the formation of a new employee committee. Also, an amendment to the employee handbook that needs some clarification. We will have recommendations on those for our January 12 meetings. And finally, I gave an update on our search for an executive director candidate. I've got Don Kellerman with the Development District spearheading that with me. We've had 23 applicants. Our goal is to get that number down to 6 to 10 applicants prior to Christmas. Now, I think I've been on the phone with Mayor Brady and Mayor Jackson, and I think this can be easily done. So we hope that the interview process starts in January, and we can bring you guys a viable candidate shortly thereafter. So.
Okay, any questions for Chairman Cartwright? Chairman, can we try to get that meeting scheduled for sometime next week or the first part of the 21st?
Yeah. Yes, we can. I think we're all looking at our calendars. I don't think anybody's going anywhere, so we'll try to get that done next week. And I spoke with Don. We want to try to probably meet to facilitate Mayor Gentry, hopefully at the Development District, sit down for a couple of hours. And, you know, I know we've all got copies of the resumes, and we'll be going through those. So we'll try to set that date next week, Mayor.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any questions for the Chairman of the Personnel Committee? Okay. Thank you, County Exec Cartwright. All right, moving on. Next thing on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Bill Harmon.
Thank you, Mayor. In your package, I've got county by county, how many employees we have in each county. And we need some more. We take applications for drivers every day, folks. But if y'all hear anybody that'd be a good driver, maybe send them to the office and get them to apply. We have a tremendous turnover of drivers. A lot of it's due to the salary, of course, but we're up to paying start at $10.21 an hour now, which is better than it has been, but it still needs some growth there. But that's just to let you know how many folks you got working in your county. The next thing is the $5,000 food bank. 8 of the 9 counties have got $5,000 to go to a food bank between now and October of 2022. Some counties have more than one food bank, and the county mayor has to decide where that goes. So if, you know, get a hold of me or Karen and decide how you want to do it. You can do it every bit this year if you want to, or you can split it up, some this year and some next year. My suggestion would be when you select it, we'll write the check, bring the check to you, and you folks take it to the food bank to get yourselves a little credit. What I'd do, but I won't get a check, so y'all do what you want to do. But you just need to let us know. Just a little update on the virus that's affected us since April the 1st. We've had 71 employees affected. We have 11 that are currently out now, and we've got 14 positives. So that's just a little update, but that's, we've had a few folks working at home that have tested positive, but the majority of us are back in the office working every day. So my suggestion for next year, we haven't had our annual meeting this year, but January the 12th, when we're scheduling one, we hope to have it in Chattanooga at the Ray Evans building, but we'll just have to see. But my suggestion is these 4 dates for next year. And I also suggest that you have it independently of the other meetings. If you have a new executive director, they're going to be learning, you folks are going to be learning them. I suggest you have a separate meeting from the Development District workforce everybody else you have to meet with. And I know it's aggravation to just have to go to another meeting, but that's just a suggestion. After I go home, y'all do what you want to. The Sunset Review is meeting today at 1 o'clock. And as I mentioned, Chris is up there to represent us. We had 3 findings, 2 of them board findings and 1 of them management findings, but we're hoping to get a six-year review before we have to do it again. So that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you, Mr. Bill. Talking about the independent meetings, Mr. Chairman, Bill, let's make sure that's an agenda items and the board members be thinking about that, and we'll discuss that on January 12th to see how y'all want to proceed with that. But we'll take Bill's suggestion under consideration, but we put some thought into that. Okay. Other business, Mayor Ridley, are you back on here? Okay. I'll get in touch with Mayor Ridley about the nominating committee needs to meet before the 12th. I'll personally contact him. All right. Do we have any other comments regarding anything we've done in this meeting? Okay. We're going to adjourn this meeting, and then we're going to go into executive committee meeting to approve what we just did. That is one of the findings. We've not been doing that. So do I hear a motion that we adjourn our policy council and executive meeting?
Motion to adjourn. Cartwright.
Motion by Cartwright. Do I have a second?
Second, Brady.
Second by Brady. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Passes unanimous. Now I'll call to order the executive committee meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the action of the policy council?
To make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Gentry, second by
Cartwright.
Cartwright. Any comments? Not hearing any, passes unanimously. Before we jump off here, again, as Mayor Davis said, as he concluded the development district meeting, we want to wish each and every one a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We all need to pray that 2021 is a whole lot better than 2020. We're all struggling. We need to pray for each other. I know you are being hit by some of the citizens about you're not doing this, you need to do this, you need to do that about the virus. I'm not sure anybody knows what we really need to do other than the good Lord above. But we want to keep each of our citizens in our prayers and hope we get through this thing a whole lot sooner than later. But God bless each one of you.
Hey, can I say something?
Yes, George.
I got a question, and I know this is not y'all's time to go. Lord, I've said it on the whole meeting. Has anybody in the region besides Chattanooga made a mask mandate yet?
Not that I'm aware of. There's 27 counties, none in our region. Most of them is up in East Tennessee or out in West Tennessee,
Okay.
plus the big counties.
Okay. All right. And I want to say hi, Mr. Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Mr.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
This is Kevin Brooks in Cleveland.
Hey, Kevin.
I just also wanted to echo George and let Chairman Harmon know I haven't served with him in a long time. It's been a long time since we've served together. I just wanted to welcome him back.
Yeah.
I know it's temporary, but it's great to see him.
That's right.
Good to see you, Kevin.
We're glad to have him back. As I was about to say about the 27 counties that have a face mandate, I sort of compared their numbers to our numbers, and they're all actually a little higher than we are as far as total cases, percentage-wise, in the population. So I think citizens have to be responsible to make the right decision, to do the right thing, and we encourage everybody to wear a mask when they're out in public. And I think the 6-foot social distance is really the biggest thing that helps. But that's totally my opinion. But again, everyone have a great Christmas and New Year. We'll see you January the 12th if no one has anything else.
Hey, Mayor, I got
Yeah.
one quick question. If I don't know if I'm muted or not. I may have muted myself.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead, Mayor.
About the sunset review, and Mr. Harmon mentioned that there were 3 findings, and I'm assuming that's a finding over a consolidation of the 9 human resource agencies. How do they determine a finding over 9 different agencies? Were they
Well,
minutes and everything else? And
we had 3. Up First Tennessee had 8 or 9 findings. But 2 of the board findings that we had were found in every human resource agency. And that's because we can't get enough county mayors when you got a board of 50 people to show up, because there's 50 on the board. So, but every one of them had that finding, but the comptroller and the HRA associations, my understanding, are going to try and change the law this year to where you don't have that many people on the board, because you've always got a quorum question.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Gentry. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mayor Gentry, have a second.
Second, Cartwright.
Second, Cartwright. Do I hear any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Y'all be safe. Stay healthy.